Ben Franklin once stated, "A man may not escape death, and a man cannot escape paying taxes." This is still true to this day. Just because a person has passed does not mean that you have to avoid taxes. The government still requires that a person have final taxes filled out and be performed. These final taxes are related to the final earnings of the last year that they were alive, whether that's with Social Security or some form of earnings that occurred on their last year on this existence. As the executor of the estate or a family member working with the executor, it'll be your responsibility to help perform the act of doing a person's final taxes. Now, this can be done by going to a place such as H&R Block, DH Hewitt, H&R Hewitt, or one of the other tax places, or even using, say, TurboTax or some other program, or even going to the US government website. When you do that final taxes, there is the possibility that that a refund is obtained, or that payment is required, or nothing at all, depending on the status of their final taxes. You can see in the background, there's the blue folder that was actually what I recently used in order to do my mother's final taxes, where it kept together all the paperwork associated to that. Doing someone's final taxes is a little bit different than doing their taxes or your own taxes during the regular year. First up, you are now going to be signing off as being the executor or someone associated to that person's estate, that you are now taking ownership of it. There's an additional form that will be filled out. So unlike, say, for example, you go to one of those tax locations and you normally just sign something for yourself, you are now signing a document saying that you are filling it out for that person. Additionally, when you go, you are going to be now establishing the estate tax setup. So we talked about this before, that you're going to be creating an EIN, or an employee or an employer identification number for the estate. This is something where you as the executor will now be named personal representative of the estate for the person that's passed by the court system. That's all great, but in the eyes of the federal government or the state government, they don't care about the fact that you haven't finished probate. You need to now do this right away as part of doing the final taxes, to start establishing that part and then handling that. Because if you have it where you as the executor do not file taxes, you now have penalties that will now be performed on the estate that will need to be additionally handled. And you can potentially be now liable for the fact of not doing this. It's a fairly simple process, but I'll be honest, it can be very emotional and draining on you. And I'm definitely saying this from experience. So I won't name the place I used, but I had it where I went to do my mother's final taxes. I couldn't remember whether or not I printed the form from the IRS, which I believe we've spoken about, but I'll provide a link in the description as well on how you can get that EIN number for the estate. And by the way, if you have it where now you're changing someone's revocable living trust to an irrevocable trust, you are going to need an EIN for that as well, and now do the update filing at that time as well, while you're doing their final taxes to do that conversion. But I digress back. I couldn't find the form that I had gotten from the IRS with my mother's EIN number. I had thought I printed it out, but I had just left it on a file on my computer. Doing someone's final taxes and looking for something is very emotional. And also doing my own personal tax at the same time and working and coordinating this whole effort can be that way. I will say this, the people that I was working with to do this, I would consider to be not very professional and not understanding the situation, because I was threatened with them not wanting to do my taxes because I was getting emotional. I was being asked to leave, and I was being asked if I don't stop. Actually, no. They said, leave now or we're calling the cops. Now, I wasn't starting a fight with anybody. I was just getting emotional and crying and trying to look for documents that I was requested on by the tax professional for my mother's estate, and I just couldn't find them. And apparently I was being rushed because the fact that they're under such stringent things that they have to keep working. So much the fact that there's challenges even with them taking a bathroom break potentially. This is one of those moments where, as an adult, and you have time, stand up for yourself as much as you can, and don't let someone try to tell you they're going to call the cops on it. Work with it. Obviously, don't start a fight with them. Don't have it where you start throwing things at them, but try to explain the situation and also see what you can do personally to try to calm things. And hopefully you have a better experience while doing this than I did, that the people are sympathetic to what's going on. And just because you're crying and you're now marking now in another moment in a person's life, that things don't occur anymore. Because now after this point, now everything is no longer their taxes. It's now the estate of, it's now their estate's taxes you're worrying about. There's additional costs now associated with that too, just in case you didn't know, because now an estate is like a business. So instead of maybe being like $100, now it's like $260 or $600 for filing fees potentially on things as well. It's a little different, but not being upset about the fees. It's just the fact that now you're marking a different moment in the person's life. Every person that lives will pass on back to the source or to the other plane of existence. They will have it where there'll be moments of joy, moments of sorrow. There will be moments that will be such as paying taxes, that you now need to review over everything and account for things. And again, like we spoke in other videos, you personally are not responsible, whether you're the executor of the estate or whatnot, for paying their taxes. Their estate is, at least from my understanding. Their trust can pay the taxes. Their estate can pay the taxes. You don't pay taxes from your personal account if it goes overboard, okay? And like I've mentioned on everything dealing with financial stuff associated with someone who has passed, if there's any questions or concerns, do your additional due diligence and research. Speak with a tax professional. Look things up on the IRS website. Use an AI bot to help you with it. And I'm saying that from, again, personal experience. The IRS, maybe 5-10 years ago, prior to the time I created this video, they were more accommodating to answer questions over the phone and work with you. But I have been getting more and more as I ask questions to the IRS. They would rather you speak with a tax person or a tax attorney than actually answer questions regarding the taxes that they are going to eventually need to review and look over. So I guess that says a lot about how I think about how this form or this branch of our government currently is working. Anyway, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to ask. I'll try to do my best to answer them. Leave them in the comments. I'll respond back to you that way. Make sure to like this video, share it with anybody that can use this information. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you can get updates when I make additional videos. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.